Hello and welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of the Anime Kiwi podcast. I'm Mike, and there's somebody pushing a shopping cart outside?
Why?
I don't know, but it was really loud.
Are you near a supermarket?
No.
That's weird.
Jesus Christ, people.
It's a living world, man. Things happening. People doing stuff.
Should we redo this intro?
No, I'm happy with this.
Okay, say your name. I'm Mike.
I'm Cat Soda.
And I live in a loud as fuck apartment complex. I thought it was just the kids who are coming home in around an hour who are loud. But apparently it's everyone.
Man, people got shit to do.
Because usually I pick when the kids are out screaming their lungs off that I practice my trumpet stuff. But apparently it's fine anytime.
It's a free country, supposedly.
That's what I've heard. Anyway, what's been up with you, Cat Doter?
Nothing much. Just, watching anime, playing video games like I usually do.
Any good games recently? Since our game podcast is not forming yet. Might as well get the news now.
A little game called Doom.
Doom's pretty good.
Doom is pretty good. That's putting it lightly, I guess.
Yeah. I played a little bit last night when my wrist wasn't feeling like it was gonna come apart from the rest of my body.
You trying to do it with the mouse and keyboard, are you?
Yep. Of course, I get to text right now, too.
Just lots of nice little diegetic sounds going on in your end.
Yeah.
But I was having a look at a kind of an interesting game. Like, most of From Software's games have made their way to, English-speaking audiences in one form or another. I think the first Kingsfield is kind of the only one that didn't make it.
Was it the first one or the second one that didn't? I know we skipped one.
It's the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the first one that didn't come. The first one's kind of rough, but...
And we got the second one branded as the first one, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the third one was branded as the second one, and then they just called the fourth one The Ancient City instead of calling it Kingsfield 3.
They should have just skipped 3.
Which is confusing.
They should just done Kingsfield 4.
Yeah, that wouldn't be confusing at all. That's what they did with Final Fantasy. They didn't cause any confusion.
I think it'd be pretty funny.
But kind of another gap in From Software's lineup in English-speaking countries is a game called Shadow Tower Abyss.
Uh-huh.
Which, the first Shadow Tower was basically just another Kingsfield. But this game is more distinct, I guess, from their other games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really interesting kind of middle point between what they were doing with the Kingsfield stuff and what they ended up doing with the Soul series. You can see a lot of kind of burgeoning design ideas and stuff like that. It even has like the obligatory From Software poison level.
I wonder if the Armored Core games have poison levels of some sort.
I think they do. They like lava levels and stuff kind of.
Yeah, I haven't played Armored Core in a while. I tried playing 3 a few months ago, and man, those controls are rough.
Yeah, they're not modern controls at all.
No.
But the good thing with Shadow Tower Abyss is it actually has, like, buried in the options, it has a modern control scheme. What would go on to basically be the control scheme for the Soul series, which is interesting, but it's like the 4th set of control options.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But it's like all in first person and stuff, and the thing that's kind of interesting is that you've got 4 different attacks on the shoulders. So you've got like a swing from the left, a swing from the right, a stab, and kind of like a downward swing. And based on where you hit enemies, you can like sever their limbs, so you can
that's pretty cool.
Target. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So it's like a Monster Hunter type thing almost.
It's a bit more active than that, I guess you'd say. Like, if somebody's got a spear on their right arm, I might chop their right arm off so that I don't get hit by it or something like that.
I wonder what From Software could do with a Hunter-style game.
That would be pretty interesting.
But
yeah,
I really want
I
that
think,
now.
like, really interesting thing is that, like, the only way to play Shadow Tower Abyss is to download, like, a translated version of it, since it was never released in English.
Uh-huh.
But I think anybody who's interested in what From Software's done in the past should take a look at it, at least.
Okay. Meanwhile, I finally played the Italy level of Hitman. And that is quite a bit different from the Paris level.
It looks like it's a really winding level, lots of little nooks and crannies to find.
It's a lot bigger, too, and the Paris level is already huge.
Yeah, the cool thing about that is like I really like games that you can replay over and over again, and each time you do, you have like a clearer mental map of the area.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like a very like this version of Hitman is pretty much that. Like
Yeah.
going through the level over and over again, and then each time you do, you have a much clearer idea of where everything is.
Yeah. And they have the whatchamacallits, the challenges and stuff to encourage you to explore and find different stuff. Like my second run, I almost immediately found that exploding golf ball that Giant Bomb's been on about.
Oh man, I've seen some stuff with that exploding golf ball. It's pretty funny.
I didn't get a chance to use it because my assassination style diverged pretty wildly.
Is it just kill everybody?
No, I mean in this, I was trying to do everything really sneaky in the second run. The first one, I was just kind of doing whatever just to get through the level. I was trying to be as stealthy as possible. First run, I just left trail of bodies.
That seems like the way that usually goes. But I've tried Hitman a few times and I've kind of bounced off it. But
Have you tried the new one?
everything, no, I haven't yet. But everything seems to be I've seen about this is it's doing a very good argument for giving it another go.
I mean, the new one, the first level's only $15, so
Yeah, and no harm in giving it a shot, I guess.
yeah, it's a very easy entry point. And I've been playing on PS4 because that's just how I got it. I think I had PSN money that I needed to spend.
Well, what about the 60 frames per second, man, that every PC game has?
I don't care. I haven't gotten any slowdown from Hitman. I've had no performance issues. So it's a consistent enough FPS for me.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't really care about that stuff that much. But
as long as it's consistent, I don't really care.
Consistency is key. But how about that anime?
Yeah, what do you think of these 4 episodes?
I didn't like them.
At all?
There's some stuff to like, but like some of the complaints I had about the first 4 episodes kind of continued on here. But the thing I should stress is this is very much like a personal aesthetic taste thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was struggling to find a word that I would use to describe this series, and like I was thinking like maybe childish or naive, but that's not quite it because it approaches some topics. It approaches some topics pretty realistically.
Optimistic, maybe? I would maybe go for.
Well, the more I thought about it, the more I kind of arrived on the word saccharine, I guess. It just seems like the best word I could think of to describe the series. Like, it just has this really kind of overwrought sappiness to it that I kind of don't like.
I mean, it has its moments, especially in the first one we watched. But yeah, it seems a happier series overall. Chihaya doesn't let anything get her down.
It's hard to describe it as happy because, you know, like if you go down like the further down the saccharine definition, like, you know, all of the setups in the show are designed to give the most kind of like there's an obvious, very, very obvious dramatic setup to the way they're done. It's almost like a joke structure, but in drama form. Mm-hmm. You know, there's the setup and there's the and then there's the kind of development of the joke and then there's the punchline of it. But instead of it being a punchline in this, it's more of like a emotional payoff where somebody's crying. You know?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but it's just kind of bouncing off me personality-wise.
Okay. I do think after, in the next set of episodes, is where it's going to start really going, judging from how other sports series I've watched are.
How do they typically go?
So you saw that episodes 6 through 8 were the let's go get more members for our team episodes. Basically every sports anime I've watched has had those episodes. And once they...
Is it like every one of them where it's an unpopular club that nobody wants to join and somebody has to make a really like over-the-top effort to get people to join?
A lot of them, yeah. So that's kind of a cliche thing. But if they're going with that trend, then after this is when they start like doing a lot of that activity.
What, you mean like actually playing the game?
Yeah, actually playing the game.
I'm not really attached to the game as such, because as we were saying in the first episode, like, the game is pretty much just a means to get the characters together, to have them bounce off each other and you know, those relationships develop and whatnot.
Yeah, but there hasn't been a lot of the game happening for them to bounce off of at this point. It's just been giving us all the characters.
Yeah, kind of introductory character development.
Yeah. These first 5, I guess we should start talking about 5 at some point, have been on the main 3. But then 6 through 8 are giving us, I guess, the 3 other main characters.
Do you think that'll be consistent? Like, do you think they'll introduce more people, or this is kind of our main cast?
From what I've seen, this is our main cast.
Okay, so I guess I'm just waiting for the show to kind of find its groove, because I don't think it's really found it yet.
Yeah, I think it'll start picking up once they are able to get going and actually compete and play the game.
Yeah, because this whole time they're still in the setup phase, basically.
Yeah, and they longer series generally tend to take a little bit longer to set up just because they have the time to do so.
Yeah, which is good. I always respect a show that takes its time, or a movie that takes its time to set up its plots and everything. It's just I think the pacing is a little bit off with this show. I think they spend maybe a little bit too much time on some fairly obvious dramatic ideas. Like they could go over them a bit. Like they could leave some of the interpretation to the audience, which is something that Kids on the Slope did extremely well.
Yes.
Was have a lot of that stuff implied and let the audience fill in the gaps because it respected their intelligence. It let the audience know that, yeah, we know that you know how this is going to play out, and you know what the gaps are and what happened between those moments. And the show doesn't really do that. It kind of labors points over and over. And
again, well, it's also a difference in the writing. I do also think that it might be because of the season length.
It could be an aspect of it, yeah.
Because by necessity, Kids on the Slope had to be, whether the original was or not, or the writing team was that good or not, it needed to be a very tightly written show because there's only 12 episodes.
Yeah, it was an efficiently written show.
Yes. Anyways, episode 5, episode 4 ended with them calling up Arata on the phone and him saying not to call him again because he's done with Karata. And this episode opens up with them on the bullet train to go see him and see what the deal is. Did anything speak to you about this episode in particular?
I guess it's not really a thematic point, but the thing that kept leaping out at me, especially in this episode, is the Taichi guy is kind of a dick in this episode.
Kind of, yeah.
He's
immature.
Constantly just being, he's constantly being an asshole to Chihaya in a really just
brazen.
Yeah, immature way is probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he is, along with Chihaya, the primary character of this, primary protagonist. So I think that he's going to be, maybe even more than Chihaya, the one to get the most character development.
Yeah, but I still want to punch him.
Oh yeah, that's fine, whatever.
He's very punchable.
He's very punchable. And we also see that Chihaya is just kind of a weirdo in this episode even more, because they're talking on the train about his Taichi's girlfriend. And he's like, oh, do you like anyone, Chihaya? And she's like, oh, yeah, I like Dr. Harada. What? That's weird? What? Oh, huh.
Yeah, the thing that I kept coming back to when, especially in this episode, is in the first 4, I kind of liked Chihaya as a character because, as I said, she's a very positive person, and typically they tend to focus these sorts of series on kind of a misanthropic, 15 and 16-year-old, nerdy kid, male kid. But in this, I started to think she's more of a manic pixie dream girl than a proper character, and it started to bother me rather than become a positive thing.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm sure she'll round out. She seems to be...
Yeah, I hope so.
Even in these 4 episodes, she started to round out a little bit, I think.
Yeah, well, I hope she, they don't go too hard on that stuff continuously, because it's a little bit... what's a good word for it?
Grating?
Yeah, grating.
But anyway... so they get to Fukui Prefecture, where Arata lives, and they're looking for him, and they're just walking around, and Chihaya has she has a sixth sense or something, that they've displayed multiple times in this episode. And they see him...
Extremely acute hearing?
I don't know. I guess that could be that. But she notices that it's him riding by rather quickly on a bike, and she tackles him down a hill, which is very dangerous. I don't recommend doing that.
She's very impulsive.
Yes.
It's more of that manic pixie dream girl stuff I was talking about.
Oh, you have to balance out the other, at this point, the two main guys in the series being kind of dickheads.
Yeah, like you got one dour dickhead and one asshole dickhead.
And at this point, we've learned that Arata is a pretty big dick right now. He's basically pushing them away as hard as he can. But he brings them to his house because Chihaya has to clean up because she's covered in dirt and mud from falling down a fucking hill. And then, once she's cleaned up, she pulls out a deck of cards and tries to get Arata to play cards with him. But he kicks the cards, and Taichi drags Chihaya away to leave. Because it's a battle of dickheads.
Yep. You got one pretty cool girl being surrounded both sides by dickheads.
And Chihaya's trying not to leave because she doesn't know how to quit, I guess.
It's kind of an element of her character, I suppose.
Yeah. But then we learn through Arata's neighbor that the way his grandpa got sick was he had a stroke, and Arata helped nurse him back to health. But on a day that he was supposed to be at home taking care of his grandpa, he was at a tournament to make his Class A. And his grandpa had a relapse then and died while he was away. So Arata has some issues with playing Karata again after that.
I don't know if you did, but I basically predicted this plot point because it's super obvious. Like, this is the only place this was going to go.
Yeah.
You know, it had to be that, his grandfather died and he blames himself because of something to do with Karata. And, there you go.
It was either that or he doesn't feel right playing Karata without his grandpa being around. It's one of those two.
Yeah, and it's just sort of lame, I guess.
Yeah, but, and then, it turns out that Chihaya had written a letter, or she said that she'd written a letter, but she dropped it, and Arata read it, and it warmed his heart, and then we get him chasing after the train scene, and then she somehow hears him biking alongside their window.
Even though they're soundproof.
And they're trying to open the window and stuff to yell at him. But then, Taichi tells Chihaya that he will help her form a club at school so that they can see Arata when they're playing Karata, because I guess they all realize that Arata's going to play cards again.
Which, I don't know how they arrived at that assumption, but that's how the show's going to go, I guess.
Power of friendship.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about with the almost joke structure of the drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got the joke set up and then you've got kind of the, the story part of the joke, and then you got the punchline, but instead it's with drama, and with this it's, the setup of the grandfather dying and then explaining what happens, and then you got the punchline of him reading the note and then crying and then, barking after the train.
I don't know if that's a joke structure so much as just basic storytelling.
I mean, more of in a it's a really obvious recurring structure within the show sense,
I guess.
And if you watch a multicam sitcom like The Big Bang Theory or something, like that's when that sort of structure becomes its most obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because of the shitty studio audience that doesn't even know what a joke sounds like. But yeah, it's that's what I mean though. It's kind of like that, but for drama, like that really obvious 1, 2, 3 structure of the dramatic arc.
Okay. I kind of wonder if maybe we should have watched this before Kids on the Slope, but too late now.
Well, I should say I don't think it's terrible because, as I was saying earlier, like it's mostly an aesthetic difference. Like one of my favorite movies that I've watched recently is a movie called the Witch, I guess, or The Witch, if you want to, however you want to pronounce it.
I've had that recommended to me. I'm saving it for October.
And it's extremely dark and kind of fucked up, and and that's my shit, basically. That's my aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I bring that up to give you a clearer idea of where I'm coming from. Like, this stuff is like the polar opposite of my aesthetic, basically.
Okay. Well, we're bringing you out of your box. Your dark, gloomy, fucked up box.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. I'll try anything once.
Yeah. Anyways, after this episode, we get into that sports anime building the club stretch episodes. She goes to the science chemistry teacher, tennis coach lady, and convinces her to, I guess, be the faculty sponsor and to give them a club room. And they basically get an old, unused storage room, like, on the far reaches of campus.
This whole club thing is still kind of alien to me.
Yeah, it's different. I wish there was this kind of thing at American high schools, or at least at my high school, but I don't know.
I get the sense that this is like an extracurricular thing, as in they don't have to do it, but it's kind of expected of them.
Some schools it's like that. Some schools, I think that they're required to join a club.
It's weird, because I know, like, Japanese high school is 6 days a week, right?
I don't know. Like, I thought that, but then when I stayed at a children's home in Japan, the high schoolers home all day on both weekend days, so I don't know. And then I'd go out, and I'd see kids in uniform, so fuck if I know what's going on with the Japanese school schedule situation.
Maybe it varies from school to school, or based on their grades or something?
It's possible. I assume you're basing this off of Persona.
I'm just basing it on stuff that I've seen.
Okay.
But Persona's part of that, yeah. But, like, I get the sense that, like, adding the extracurricular stuff on top of that kind of grueling schedule is, like, at a certain point, you gotta let kids be kids, man. Don't burn them out.
Yeah. But anyways, then we meet the eventual first new club member, Kanade Oe, who is currently part of the Kyudo Club, the Japanese archery. And she doesn't seem to be down with all of the physical activity in archery. She only joined it so that she could wear hakama in a club, which I don't blame her, because hakama are great.
Yeah, I don't get this character at all.
What don't you get about her? She just likes traditional clothing and traditional literature stuff.
Yeah, I get that, but she seems to get kind of weirdly obsessive and, like, upset about it. Like, I can understand if, as I would say, that's her aesthetic, but, she's weirdly gung-ho about it.
I guess.
I guess everybody is in this show.
Yeah, they all have their thing. And I have a feeling that part of the point of the show is to show characters who are kind of pigeonholed into their one thing, kind of spreading out and becoming real people.
Yeah, I can see that. It's probably a good point.
But anyway, she really likes traditional clothing, and that's the reason she joined archery, because archery and kendo wear hakama as uniforms. And she sees the poster for Karate Club, which has somebody in the big 7-layer kimono playing karate, and she goes to check it out, and is kind of, I guess, taken aback, might be a strong way to put it, but she is shocked that competitive karate isn't just kind of leisurely sitting and playing the cards and admiring the poetry. And also she expected them to be wearing traditional clothes, but they're just wearing, like, gym clothes. But Chihaya's determined to get to her. So, Kana's family runs a traditional clothing store in town, and Chihaya goes there and starts asking about the poems themselves, because she wants to know about what the poems mean, instead of just being able to match them. And so it seems like she sits with Kana for hours and just goes over all of the poems. And she, from this, she, I guess, learns a new technique for the game, or learns how to play based on the poem's meaning.
Which doesn't make any sense at all.
It kind of does for the longer ones. Because they go into this, I think it was episode 8, where you can, I think it was 8, where you can, some poems start with the first few syllables, so you have to either guess or wait for those to be read before you can go for a card. And as those cards dwindle down, then you can go faster on the remaining ones. But I think what she learned from being able to play by the meaning of the card is to hear the first few syllables and kind of match it up with what those mean with the poems on the ground. So instead just going by hearing, go by meaning.
Yeah, I guess it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it kind of like, it seemed to me that the point they were trying to make is that because she knows the meaning of the poems, as in like, you know, her favorite poem being about, you know, passionate, unrequited love or whatever, that she can notice that one better because she knows its meaning, which just doesn't make any sense at all. But, you know, if they want to go that way, that's fine, I suppose.
I think it kind of has some basis for working.
Well, I don't want to go all tactical realism. Like, if they want to use that as a dramatic idea, they can do what they want.
Yeah, and apparently this show does go into, to a degree, the tactics and stuff you can use in a game, and then uses those to create tension in the actual game-playing scenes. Like they did with the syllable stuff in one of the next 2 episodes. I think it was the next one.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the next one. It was the 8th one. But anyways, Kana, I guess, connects with Chihaya and agrees to join the club on the condition that Chihaya, who is so pretty that they have reinforced over these last few episodes, agrees to model for the store's catalog, and also that the club will wear traditional clothing to tournaments, which is a thing they do at the high levels anyways. I should have mentioned that I've been watching Real Karuta lately.
Oh, yeah?
Because before I watch these episodes, I wanted to try and get a handle on what the rules are, because I didn't think they would spend an episode explaining the rules. And
you know, like 6 episodes in or whatever?
Yeah. But, yeah, I was watching the last match to determine the queen, and they're all wearing traditional clothing. And I have a question for you. How exaggerated do you think the Karuta action in this series is, divorced from real competitive Karuta?
Well, based on how into things I've seen Japanese sports and stuff, how they get into it, I would say that if anything, they probably tone it down.
Kinda, yeah. It's basically Dragon Ball Z shit they're doing in this Real Karuta. They have to have
a lot
slow-mo.
of screaming and slamming their hands and stuff.
There's not screaming, but they're really fucking fast, dude. Like, they have to use a slow-mo cam to see who hit the card sometimes. I can't track their hands most of the time. It is incredibly intense, way more intense than you would think this thing could be.
Might have to have a look at that eventually.
It's pretty neat. So anyway, they've won, as of episode 6, 3 club members. Then we get to episode 7, and we learn that the difference between Taichi style and Chihaya style, in that Taichi seems to understand the game better and has a much better sense for strategy, and this is where they talk about the syllables and stuff. But Chihaya just has, like, raw skill at the thing, and she plays by instinct, and she's much faster than Taichi. I think this is the episode where we learn that they can't be a real club unless they have 5 members. So this kind of kicks them into overdrive to start recruiting 2 more people.
Seems somewhat arbitrary.
I think that might be a thing, because I've seen that in multiple shows like this, and with that same number.
I guess if you take it as a more of a subtextual thing where the show's going, okay, now go get your main cast, then it kind of works.
Yeah, but I think it's also like a real-life bureaucratic thing.
Yeah, man, the club thing, it's weird.
But anyway, Chihaya thinks she has a bead on who she wants to drag, in this case, literally drag in there next, and that would be a kid who they call Desk Tomu, and he is the 2nd-ranked kid in their class, right after Taichi. And he's called Desk Tomu because he basically is one with his desk. He's always studying. He's big old nerd face.
Have you noticed that that pretty much every time they introduce some sort of main character, it'll be them by themselves absorbed in whatever they're doing, and the kids around them being assholes and talking about them and laughing at them while they just do whatever they're doing. Like, I think it's most of the main cast they've introduced that way so far.
Not really. I mean, they've only done it to Desutomu and to Arata, basically.
It was the same thing with Chihaya.
A little bit. I guess I'm thinking of... yeah, I guess. I was thinking of her in the flashback. And that didn't really happen in the flashback until she started standing up for Arata. But I guess at the beginning of this...
Yeah, she's also introduced that way.
They're calling her a beauty in vain. And they keep calling her beauty in vain.
Which is kind of a fucked up thing to say about somebody.
Yeah, well, there's fucked up stuff about Japanese high school. There's lots of articles written about bullying being a big deal that is constantly, but I think inadequately addressed in Japanese schools.
Sounds like most schools.
I think there is like a higher than normal rate of school bullying motivated suicide in Japan, which is unfortunate and it's something they need to get handled.
Yeah, like if you're a teen, one of those teens that were monetizing and you're listening to this,
don't be a dick.
Don't fucking bully people. Don't be a dick. Don't bully people. It's fucking stupid. Don't do it.
If you're going to bully someone, just bully your friends, like, nicely. A nice ribbing is fine.
Yeah, don't just... Except if they're real annoying, then you can do it.
But not too much.
Just a little bit.
Know your limits. Anyway, so... Desutomu is not interested at all, because he just wants to study. He wants to beat Taichi, who is first ranked, without even really trying. And then Chihaya tells him that players have to memorize the position of all these cards in order to play like at an effective level. And he doesn't believe her. But he realizes that, I guess, Taichi is in the club, and he lets down his guard long enough for Chihaya to pick up him and his desk and drag them to their storage closet where they play. And then, still incredulous that the players memorize all the cards, he challenges them being Taichi and Chihaya, to play a game with all the cards turned upside down to like prove that memorization's part of it. And since Chihaya's not so good at memorizing, as we termed at the beginning of this episode, we see Taichi's skill shine, and he beats her. And he realizes that he still loves Karuta like he did when he was a kid, and wants to, even if he can't ever beat Arata, wants to do the best he can at it.
Dude loves winning.
Dude loves winning. I mean, he's raised to win, basically. And this was him saying, hey, maybe winning's not everything, even though I still really do like winning a lot.
You should try things, even if you're not going to win, but you should still try.
Yep. It's like we're doing this podcast, even though we have no one listening. We're still making it.
Constantly losing.
Constantly losing.
We'll win one day.
One of these days, somebody interested in giving us $1 or $2 will listen and be like, hey, I'll give you $1 or $2.
One day we'll get that MeUndies sponsorship deal.
Man, I would like a MeUndies deal.
And they'll get to lie about wearing their underpants.
I'd probably wear the underpants and tell the truth about their underpants.
Of course you would. Sell out.
Hey, never enough underpants. Shit gets worn out.
Well, that's true, I guess. I think there's a rip in mine.
Should get some MeUndies. Something, they have a subscription plan, you know.
Now you're speaking my language.
Anyways, Desutomu leaves saying that he's not right for Karuta, he doesn't have the skill. And then Taichi comes out and says that he doesn't have the skill that Chihaya has either, and he can't win against her unless they literally stack the deck in his favor and flip all the cards upside down. But he would rather have somebody who puts in the work and does their best and loses, rather than somebody who is like Chihaya, basically. And then Desutomu was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I'm good at putting in work and coming in second. It's what I do. That's my character. And then he joins the club.
I like how matter-of-fact you are about that.
And at this point, I think Desutomu's a really unpleasant fellow. I don't like him much at all.
It's a show about dickheads.
Yep. At the end, they kind of opened up his character a little bit and showed that he has always just kind of wanted to be part of a group and has, like, I guess, accepted that he won't be part of a group. And so he's pushing away people just kind of out of survival instinct, I guess, which is understandable. But
yeah, but if they set up his character as in wanting to be accepted by other groups and failing to be accepted, you know, and this is kind of the inverse of that, of the group wanting to accept him, but him, like, why would he resist that? If anything, he should be, it would seem like he would be welcoming of that. He would seek it.
There could be something in his background where he's been accepted into a group and it's gone very, very bad for him. Is
that may
possible.
Be the case, yeah.
Yeah. And he's just learned that, no, we can't do this no matter how much I might want to.
Do what?
Be part of a group.
Ah.
But we'll see.
We'll have to keep watching.
Got 19 more episodes, I think. I can't do math. I don't know why I try. I think it's 19.
Me neither.
You're not sure? You don't know why I try?
Oh, I can't count. I can't read either.
Okay. Then we have last one for this week, episode 8, where we encounter an old face. Do you remember this guy, Cat Doter?
The fat guy?
Yeah. Do you remember seeing him last time? Because I'm pretty sure I made a point to point him out during last week's episode.
I don't remember at all, but, you know, you keep doing what you were doing.
He was the guy when they were at the tournament waiting for Chihaya to get over herself and get there, and he was complaining about how he wanted to go get food and she was holding him up. And then
was this in the flashback?
Yes, this is in the flashback.
Well, I remember him in that, yeah. I thought you may have spotted him.
Oh, no. I meant in the flashback.
Okay.
But anyway, so we have Nishida, or Fatty as Chihaya calls him, which is kind of rude. But he's in the tennis club now, because he gave up Karuta for some reason. I guess same reason that everyone else did in middle school, because they didn't have a club. So Chihaya's taking it upon herself to do like she did with the last two people and bug him into joining. And in this episode, between Chihaya stalking him to get him to join, we get little flashes into the B-plot, which is Taichi teaching Kana and Desk Tomu the rules of the game. Which is it's actually a pretty simple game. I thought they made it seem more complicated in the previous 7 episodes, but it's not.
Yeah, like just trying to show people playing this game without explaining the rules first kind of makes it look unnecessarily difficult.
Yeah, but it's pretty simple. It's easy to learn, hard to master, it seems.
Well, like I was saying in the last episode, it's Snap for Japanese aristocrats.
Is it basically that now that you've seen the actual rules of the game?
It's kind of that, yeah.
The rules being there are 50 poems on the board between the two players, and the other 50 are not used. You want to get rid of all the ones on your side first. If you take one from your opponent's side, you can give them one of yours. If the opponent hits the wrong card, you can give them one of yours.
It seems the exchanging the cards is mostly where the strategy of the game comes in.
Yes, because then the syllable stuff comes into it. So if you have two of the ones that are similar syllables sitting next to each other, you can split them up and make your opponent unsure which one to hit and give yourself a little bit longer, I guess, if you're confident in it. So there's a little bit of a risk-reward thing, too, going with it. And I guess it stands to reason that if your opponent gets it wrong and you get it also at the same time, a card from their side, you can give them 2 cards. So there's a big potential swing there. And I think another rule I didn't mention, but I saw somewhere else, was that if you hit a card and it's one of the ones that's not in the 50, it's one of the non-used 50, then your opponent gets to give you a card then, too.
Wait, not one of the 50?
So there are 100 poems.
Yeah.
On the board, there are only 50 of those poems, so there are 50 non-used cards.
But how would they take one of the non-used cards?
If there's all 100 of the cards are in the box the reader is drawing from.
Okay.
So there will be poems that are red, but there's not a matching card on the board.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Well, it's to go with the syllable stuff, where there will be cards that have same 5 first syllables. So if somebody's going on sound and they don't wait then they can possibly go for a card that's not on the board and get a penalty.
Okay.
I feel like there's something else too relating to that, but I can't remember what it was right now. Oh, if you go for a card after the first verse has been read, so on the reading cards it has the whole poem, it's not just the first verse. If you wait until they get to the part of the poem that's on the cards on the playboard, then it's also a penalty. You have to go all off of the stuff that's not on the play cards.
Wait, so you gotta, before the first verse ends, you have to get the card before then.
Right.
So it's sort of like a weird time limit.
Right.
And kind of test your knowledge of the poem itself?
Yes. So you can't just wait for it to find the thing that they're literally reading right now. You have to preempt what they're reading. So back to Chihaya stalking this fat kid. She watches him play tennis and realizes that, I don't know how she realized this or how it works at all, but apparently he's using Karata time to play tennis and basically tells him that he is using tennis as a stand-in for Karata and that it's not fair to tennis. I don't get this part. I don't get her reasoning.
Just go with it, man. Not a lot of stuff in this show makes sense.
But anyway, so he goes to check it out, I guess, because he's curious, because Chihaya is super insistent. And he thinks that since there's two new people and Taichi, who he assumes still isn't very good, that they're at, like, the level that he last saw them at, elementary school level. So Taichi challenges Chihaya to show them, like, how good they are. And they play, and they're doing some next level shit. Oh no, Taichi challenges Taichi challenges the fat kid to play Chihaya. My notes are a mess. And so he sees how good Chihaya is, even though she wasn't super good when they last played. And by super good, I mean she was bad. Because at that point, she only knew half of the poems. So Chihaya wins through her talent. And as Destomu did, Nishida leaves saying that he's not coming back to Karata, but he eventually comes around, after thinking about it, and goes to the club. And the tennis coach, who is also the faculty sponsor for the Karata club, sees Nishida there and asks him why he's been skipping tennis club, and he says that he still loves Karata and he wants to quit tennis to go join the Karata club. And she says, yeah, fine, sure, whatever. And then Chihaya starts doing the paperwork to go put in to be officially a club. And then that's the end of that episode.
That faculty member is the character I identify with the most so far. She just didn't give a fuck, man.
I thought you were going to say being a grouchy butt.
Well, that too. She just like these goddamn kids.
This is Kat Doder as an older Japanese lady right here.
Pretty much.
Talking about kids these days and their Karata. All I want to do is play tennis and teach chemistry. But no.
Yeah, except with me, it's all I want to do is be a true Doom murderhead.
I really like in Doom that sometimes you'll find one of the little secret figurine guys and you'll do a fist bump with him.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a nice little detail. That game has lots of nice little details.
Communicates character entirely with first-person hand animation.
Yep. Doom guy just don't want any of this plot shit. He just wants to murder demons.
Yeah, like in the beginning when the doctor character says that, you know, I'm sure we can solve this matter in a way that benefits us both, and he just takes the monitor thing and just throws it across the room.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
He's like, yeah, fuck you. In the way that we can benefit both. You can go fuck yourself.
Also, the lore stuff they got going on is real weird.
Yeah, but in like a really awesome way.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't say what it is, because it's a pretty cool thing.
Real good.
And also, this podcast is not about that game or games in general at all. So that'd be kind of a dick thing to do.
Hey man, it's Game Kiwi. It's in the title.
This one's Anime Kiwi. This is Karata Kiwi.
But it's on Game Kiwi.
I guess that's true.
They got to come to this with the expectation that we're going to digress into video games every once in a while.
I guess. Till we have our own video game podcast, which eventually.
Yeah, get on that.
At some point, we should just do it whether or not my friend is ready to go.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Maybe we can just get a rotating third.
All that. You know, we can't wait too long to be, you know, to communicate our love of
Doom.
True Doom Murder Headery to everybody.
I should beat that game at some point.
You should.
It's hard with my wrist being a piece of garbage and wanting to fall off at a moment's notice.
Yeah, especially with this game.
Yeah, I do like one level at a time because I go through the levels. It takes me a while to do levels because I try and get the secrets.
Yeah, and I finished it on ultraviolence because I'm a big tough man who can do cool manly things like.
I'm just playing on normal. It's fine.
Shameful.
It's still pretty challenging on normal.
No, it's a baby game for babies.
Yeah, it's still pretty challenging. Ammo's always an issue.
Pretty much. You got to keep doing those. Pull out your chainsaw whenever you run out.
Yep. I kind of wonder how it is on the easy mode.
Probably a cakewalk.
It's very possible. It'll be just like when I played the original Doom, only on the easiest mode.
Yeah, same.
But anyway, this is episode 5 of season 2 of Anime Kiwi. Next week we will be watching 9 through 12, I believe, if my counting is right. And hopefully it's gonna get into it, like, proper this time.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm still liking it, regardless. But for Cat Doter's sake, hopefully it picks up.
I'm not, like... I guess my dislike's pretty lukewarm at the moment, but, I'm not into it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not about to start screaming at you, why are you making me watch this or anything, It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, at the very least, it's fine. I think it's a little bit above fine. I think it's solid good.
Yeah, this is pretty much one of those times where even though, it's rubbing up against my personal sensibilities, I have no problem acknowledging that it's at least well made.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's not like a fucking great like Kids on the Slope was, but it's good.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's plenty of time.
It may get there.
Yeah. But anyways, thanks for listening. I'm Mike.
I'm Cat Doter.
As always, I fucked this up. Keep it juicy, guys.